Joining me now to discuss my open, Michael Flynn, and what's next after this bombshell week is Republican Congressman from the state of Florida, Matt Gaetz. All right, Congressman, you heard my open. What do you think?
I completely agree, and sadly, Judge, I too have lost confidence in Christopher Wray as the FBI director because he came before the House Judiciary Committee and told us that there was nothing to worry about, that we should be entirely satisfied with the changes that they'd made to these secret courts. For 3 years, Judge, the Republicans have been telling the American people that the Russia investigation was never going to reveal a crime or a criminal. It was a setup. It was a witch hunt. Meanwhile, the Democrats said, well, it can't possibly be a witch hunt because we have all of these convictions and we have these guilty pleas. Well, how are those indictments against the Russians going for Robert Mueller and the Department of Justice? That was obviously just a show indictment. And when it comes to Michael Flynn and Roger Stone, those people were set up using the same playbook. The FBI tried to entrap them into lies and then leverage that against Donald Trump. Remember, Michael Flynn wasn't a target as an end unto himself. The entire reason that the FBI under Comey was going after Flynn, going after Stone, going after Donald Trump Jr., going after Jared Kushner is because they thought that if they manufactured lies about people close to the president, that those people would then turn on the president and say bad things about him. It turns out the only one weak enough to actually do that was Michael Cohen, and we cannot live in a world where Michael Cohen ends up getting treated better than Michael Flynn and Roger Stone, who I think did the right thing for justice and refused to lie and stayed firm, and now it's time to do right by them and vindicate them and ensure that neither Stone nor Flynn spend a day in jail.
Let me ask you this, Congressman. You know, I've spent a lot of years, as you know, as a prosecutor and a judge, as a DA and all that. But as an attorney, I mean, I never believed that this kind of thing could be happening or was pervasive. You're an attorney also. You're a trial attorney. I mean, did you have faith in the FBI before this? Has your opinion changed, or have you always been a skeptic?
I remain confident that the 99.9% of FBI folks that are doing great work around the world are honest and truthful. But there is one person that I've got some questions for, and that's Robert Mueller. What did Mueller know, and when did he know it? Did he really come before the Judiciary Committee and make those accusations knowing that the Flynn deal was a setup directed by Comey? If he did, Robert Mueller's own bar license might be in question.
Well, now what can Congress do?
Well, we can't arrest anybody, unfortunately, but we are encouraging the Durham investigation because we do believe that that's going to lead to the prosecutions that ultimately show why this is the case. But, Judge, why are we 3 years away from Donald Trump's election still learning about the things that our own corrupt government did to try to derail him? This is the stuff that should have been out in the open well before now. And so I want to encourage John Ratcliffe, who will be taking over as the Director of National Intelligence, and I want to encourage Attorney General Barr, don't be like your predecessors, you know, Jeff Sessions and Dan Coates, who just sat on this stuff. Let's get it out before the people and show them how devious and how deep the plot was to go after our duly elected president. And it really shows how impressive Donald Trump is fighting through this attack from his own government to go and lead our country through one of the greatest times we had until this coronavirus.
What do you think is next for Michael Flynn?
I believe that Michael Flynn will either be exonerated or pardoned. All the charges against him should be dropped, and he should be a free man. But if that does not happen, I know that our president has a deep sense of justice, and I know that he would not allow Flynn or Stone to go to jail and disproportionately shoulder the burden of the Mueller investigation that now we all know is a joke. Just what we've learned since the start of coronavirus is that the Steele dossier was targeted by Russian intelligence, and that our own FBI knew that the Steele dossier was targeted by Russian intelligence when they used it as the main fuel to advance the Trump-Russia investigation, despite the fact that there was no collusion and there was no basis to put our country through this. How small do these Democrats look, and do these prosecutors look, and does Jim Comey look now in the circumstance we're in, given all they did to try to railroad the president without facts?
But don't you understand? I mean, the small doesn't matter to them. They're winning as long as they can get away with the illegality, with the fraud on the court, for the FISA warrant, lying to Congress, and nothing happens to them. As long as they win in that regard, and they're not worried about anything. They write their books. They're on other networks, and life goes on for them. But we can never repay Michael Flynn. I mean, it's like, who was it that came out and said, where do I go to get my reputation back? Was it, I think Donovan is in my mind. But, this man lost everything. His home, all his finances, all his savings. Where does he go? I mean, it is a terrible commentary on the American criminal justice system that I am so proud of. There's got to be some kind of sanction in the end. Anyway,
Well,
I want to thank you,
I'm not ready to
Congressman
canonize. Sure, I'm not ready to canonize Flynn, but I'm not ready to convict him either. And I do think that ultimately justice will be done here, whether it's through the judicial system or the executive pardon power.
Well, we'll see what the future holds. Congressman Matt Gaetz, thanks so much for being with us tonight.